Okay. So I just want to say welcome to everybody to our February meeting for the International Chapter of Graduate Women in Science. I'm Susan Feddix, the International President and founding member of the International Chapter, and I'm based in Dublin, Ireland. So today we're going to discuss mentorship at various points during your career path. So as a reminder, keep yourself on mute for the discussion. And if you have any issues, you can, if you have slow bandwidth, you can shut off your video to make it easier, because it's important to hear what we're saying and also to be heard with the chat. Meantime, please type, your name, your location, your scientific science discipline, so that we can keep track of all the attendees. So, okay. So now the international chapter, we're hosting monthly meetings. And so I sent out the schedule, but here it is again. In general, meetings are on Saturdays towards the end of the month, and we have a start time at the moment of 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. In January, we had 26 members at the meeting, and we see all the different sorry, people are entering, people in the waiting room entering as I'm doing this at the same time. So I apologize, I get a little distracted. In January, we had 26 members at the meeting, and we discussed science education during the global pandemic. And it was recorded and posted to our YouTube channel, which I put in the chat for those who couldn't attend. And today's event is also being recorded and will be added to the YouTube channel, and it will be, the chat will be added to the meeting minutes. So please add your questions, comments, and ideas into the chat, and use this opportunity also to direct message a member if you hear something, to direct message a member if you hear something interesting and you want to connect with them. For the March meeting, the suggested topic for the moment is grant writing. And so to visualize, there. So here's, a map of the world. So I have a red dot where I am in Ireland. So just to visualize, that's where I am the host. And so for the January meeting, when we had 26 people, to see where everyone was at, you see everyone around, a few members in the States, and then in all the different countries around. So speaking of an International Woman in Science, Monday, March 8th is International Women's Day. And so we're asking that members of International Chapter share with us a photo that best describes your day. It could be anything. If you don't want to do a selfie, which we welcome those, but it can be something scenic. It can be your research, it can be your teaching, it can be a hobby, and then simply add one line description about the photo. You could send this to the email at international@gwis.org, and you can also share with us on the WhatsApp group, and all the photos will be compiled and added to the next newsletter. And then I have here the International Women's Day official website for this year, 2021. And they have the hashtag IWD 2021. And for social media, it's International Women's Day. And also keep in mind that Graduate Women in Science, there is mentoring. So if you go to the website, I've circled in red the membership tab, and GWIS also has resources on its site. You can also email them at mentoring@gwis.org, or email us directly, international@gwis.org, and then that is the website for the GWIS mentoring program. Now, speaking of mentors, that's the topic for today. So today I'll introduce our panelists, our three panelists. We have Dr. Arezou Harraf, who is an assistant professor, head of business department in Kuwait. We also have Dr. E.Torres, principal research associate at University of Mexico. And we have Courtney Pike, who is a PhD student in Austria, but she is joining us from the Galapagos Islands in Ecuador. So I want to thank everyone on the panel for joining us, because time these days is very precious commodity. And so your time is appreciated that you are joining us to help in the conversation about mentoring. So now let's start with Arezou, and I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Let's see. So I hope everyone can see it. Can you guys see the shared slide? Okay, great. Hi everyone, I'm Arezou. You can call me Ari because I know my name is a little hard to pronounce. I'm gonna tell you a little funny story as an icebreaker. Every time we had a substitute teacher, and when they came in and they went for 5 minutes, I was like, I'm here. So in order to get over that confusion, you can just call me Ari if it's faster and easier. Yeah, I got some of the discussion points ahead of time, and I in my presentation I kind of try to address those so that we can start the conversation with it. So basically, what I would like to get started. It's like how I'm define mentorship. I'm a professor of human development with the focus on adopting technologies for human improvement. And I also have a company where we undertake competency development for women and mentorship. So this is coming on my practice. Basically, what I'm sharing, it's what we're practicing, and hopefully the panel would find it useful, and we can use it for further discussion here. So basically, the way we work with mentoring, it's guiding and assisting by offering advice from past experiences on a continuous basis. Usually many organizations and, inclusive of academic organizations, what they do is look at mentoring that it's a process that you generally offer to more junior, younger staff. And based on my experience, that is not the case, because as things change and as we move on in our career trajectories with changes that we encounter, when we change the research, the focus that we have, we're always in need of mentoring, because someone can just basically think out loud with us and in a little bit more concrete format. And that is something that has proven empirically conclusive and worthy to pursue. What qualifies a good mentor? I mean, people can be very wise and very good at their work, but they're not necessarily good mentors. Um, uh, in my experience, good mentors is definitely a person that likes doing it. You know, they like other people to grow. They thrive in empowering other people. I have assigned mentors before where they just kind of go on and just ad nauseum talk about their own accomplishments and comparing themselves to the person that they're mentoring, and that is not something
Arezou, I
uh,
think, Ari, we lost you a little bit there.
yes. Did you lose me? Am I audible?
Now you're back. Yeah. Now your screen is frozen.
Can oh, I don't know why. It says my internet's good. So if you guys can't hear me, let me know. Am I good now?
You're back now. Yeah.
Okay. So person that is definitely non-judgmental offers constructive feedback, whereas it's garnered towards learning and development. They're not chastising without providing something in the alternative, or they're not brainstorming for greatness, which kind of defies the role that they're pursuing. Your role as a mentor is to help another person pave the path to success. So if you don't have the capabilities, you may be very successful at work, but you do need to also possess these abilities to be able to mentor someone successfully. The skills that good mentors might have are people that actually inspire you and make you want to look up to them. Not just in terms of academic success or organizational success, but they're generally people that you would like to be like them. In terms of people skills, they're human beings that you want to be like them. They're relatable. They're good role models. They're motivators, and they facilitate a long-term relationship. They don't see mentorship as a transactional one-time relationship. Because in order for you to establish trust for someone that they can actually take your advice, in improving their careers or any issue that you're mentoring them on, you have to be able to establish that trust with them, establish that trust that you are actually doing it, you know um, in it for the long haul. You're actually going to put in the time that if you volunteer to do or if you're paid to oversee this person accomplish their goals. This is, I can share this later I just added this because, this was a little bit of an extra information. This is the process that generally I put for STEM, but this could apply for other fields as well. And, I can ask Susan to share it with everyone, but this is generally the process that it takes. It's very much process oriented. It's not a one-off thing. And that's something that we really need to focus on. And another thing that's really important in establishing mentoring rules is, be clear on the objective. Why are you mentoring? Let the mentee also have their input. Yes, they don't have as much experience, but remember, we're here for them, not for the mentor. The mentor has accomplished. Yes, it's a reciprocal relationship. And there is no way when you mentor someone, you're not learning from them simultaneously. But you really have to have that feedback, that expectation of the person that's being mentored discussed. Okay, because they may actually have like a not very clear idea of what mentorship is or what is there to be accomplished as a mentorship process. So it's very important that you address any outstanding issues, any conflict of interest, any ambiguities in the relationship in the first meeting, so you can actually hit the ground running, subsequently. Some common issues, um, people are not in the same wavelength in terms of communicating, and they're not communicating. They don't have a good chemistry. They're talking about two different things, apples and oranges, and they don't see eye to eye. There's a breach of, or some more serious issues like breach of contract, confidentiality clause, and so on. So those are definitely some pitfalls that should be avoided by all means. And language barriers, cultural differences, if you have schedule conflict, and so on, those could be pitfalls for leadership, for mentoring, and some of the issues that you might face. As we said, mentoring, based on my experience, is a reciprocal process, and you are being mentored as much as you're mentoring. So when, for example, faculty members or even outside organizations are mentoring students, they're learning in the process. And the way you learn in the process is that you are being, kind of in tune with what's happening currently. You're becoming more in line with what the new students want, or what are their issues or career trajectories, and so on. So not only you are mentoring them, but if the relationship it's reciprocal and it's constructive, you're actually being mentored in the same process. Whereas you will come up for creative ideas for yourself just as much as you're inspiring your mentees come up with ideas for themselves. And for both mentors and mentees, there are always benefits of this partnership, which is improved professional development, growth, elevating knowledge and knowledge transfer, which is especially for us in the academia, that's the main goal. I mean, we're in this field not because we become millionaires, it's because we're passionate about learning and teaching others. And this is a great way to kind of embark on that knowledge. Some of the issues as an academic and a practitioner that I have personally faced is that universities generally don't offer this on an ongoing basis. Sometimes they offer this at career centers, but very few universities actually have, that I have encountered. I may be ignorant to some other university resources that actually have like a paid mentorship or consider it as part of the like faculty service or so on, to partake in. So, given the benefits of it, I think it's actually something very beneficial that, we could pursue. With that, the presentation is longer, but given in time that we have two other participants, I'll just stop and then we can move on and then answer the questions later.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry, Anna. Would you
It's
like to
okay.
share? Yeah.
Yes, please. So I will share my screen. Okay. So can you see my presentation right now?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay. So, well, hello to all international GWIS members. Buen día a todas. Thank you, Susan, for your kind invitation to participate in this mentorship panel. I am Ana Torres, a researcher in computational chemistry in the Institute for Applied Sciences and Technology of the National Autonomous University of Mexico. I teach undergraduate courses in the School of Chemistry of my home university. At present, I work on computational modeling and materials for heterogeneous catalysis on energy. And previously, I have worked on research projects on simulations of materials for lithium-based batteries as postdoc in Texas A&M University and in the National Laboratory in Energy Conversion and Storage of Mexico. I am also committed with mentoring and empowering high school girls in disadvantaged situations to pursue a career on STEM fields. I have been mentor for girls in STEM for 4 years. My mentoring path was greatly inspired after attending the Lindo Nobel Laureate meeting. There, I have the great opportunity to be empowered by the greatest minds in chemistry, and their passion and love to transfer knowledge, expertise, and inspiration on science moved me. By that time, I was doing my postdoc in Texas A&M University, and I was invited by the former Education Minister of Mexico to mentor high school girls from public schools to pursue a career on STEM fields. Since then, I decided to continue following the mentor path. So I joined the US-Mexico Foundation STEM mentorship program, which is a bilateral initiative that served female high school students in Mexico from undeserved communities. Afterwards, I came back to my home country and continued serving as a mentor for girls on STEM as part of the Women Leaders in STEAM program. The mentorship sessions are carried out online with a female student that is selected by the organization for at least 6 months, once a week, for 2 hours through flexible schedules. The students are mainly based in country areas from any state in the country. The students receive other benefits as leadership workshops and psychological counseling. That captivated me the most. I want to answer what captivated me the most from the experience of mentoring young women in STEM is the nourishing power of accompanying and helping others in their quest of a vocation and self-discovery of their talents and abilities that brings out their great potential and boosts their self-esteem to achieve major goals. All my mentorship experiences so far are success stories, since my mentees have continued their education with great motivation, and we continue a fraternal relationship. In fact, one of my mentees has been accepted and granted with a scholarship in the chemical engineering program in Northwestern University. My mentees, Violeta, Natalia, and Sara, are very present in my mind and in my heart. Besides that, I have been benefited of being mentored by extraordinary persons and scientists that have made me a better researcher and person. They encouraged me to follow my dreams and provided me opportunities to excel. I must say that my advisors along my career path became in mentors, especially during my first postdoc stay in the US. For the first time, I experienced being mentored by a woman, Professor Perla Balbuena, who was my advisor and deserves my recognition because she is not only a recognized scientist in her field, but also a wonderful person and a role model for me as a Latin woman in science. She believed in me, encouraged me, and stood behind me. I would like to end this presentation with a quote from Steven Spielberg that says, "The delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves." Thank you for your attention.
Great, thanks, Anna. That was really informative. It's good to hear about the initiatives happening down in Mexico for the mentoring of girls in STEM. Is Courtney? Yeah, there's okay. Courtney's online. Yeah, we got you back.
I'm here. Whoop. Well, I'll say hi, but my video is not so good, so I'm gonna keep it off to keep the internet connection stronger. Yeah. So would you like me to just give a brief introduction as well?
Sure. Just say, you know, that you're a student and give a little background about your discipline and what you're looking for in mentoring.
Sure. So I am currently a PhD student at the University of Vienna in Austria. I haven't actually been to Europe yet, but I am a PhD student there. I'm currently doing field work in Ecuador. And actually my advisor is here as well from my PhD. So it's a good time for me to think about what I am looking for in a mentor as we're interacting more in person and also virtually as well. And so I think for me, mentorship as, how do I say, Arezou was talking about, you know, it's not just a role model, but I agree that it should be more of a agreement. It could be informal, but still some formality of agreement between two people with clearly identified goals. It can either be, if you're a student, it can be an advisor or a professor, or as an early career professional, which I've also been working before being in school again, just as a someone, yes, that you can look up to that can help provide advice, that has more experience, as she mentioned as well. And I agree that it needs to be somebody more positive with good communication, willingness to teach and understand maybe things that you don't know yet as the mentee anyway. And I feel that to have this mentor-mentee relationship, you need to be very comfortable with each other as well. And that the mentor has to be receptive to the mentee's thoughts, questions, concerns, maybe lack of experiences sometimes, but also the mentee has to be receptive to the advice that the mentor is providing. So I think those are some of the important things that I've learned so far in my time as a master's student and a PhD student and working a little bit in the profession.
Great, thanks. The first point of discussion I was going to say is for each panelist, how do you define mentoring and what qualities do you look for in a mentor? But I think everyone, as part of your introductions, you've all covered that very well. So I'll move on to the next point of conversation.
I haven't defined that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anna, then go for it.
But yeah, sorry. Oh, well, I think that mentoring is a relationship, as you all said, building trust between someone who has experience, skills, knowledge, and all. And I think the most important thing is a spirit of service that offers you guidance, counseling, support to the mentee. And I think that in the mentoring relationship, the mentor as well acts as a role model, facilitator, a challenger, and help the mentees in crafting a path towards their desired goals and development. I think that both the mentee and the mentor share the common purpose of developing a strong two-way learning relationship. And well, some qualities for a good mentor, I say, to have personal and professional credibility with the attributes of integrity, trust, demonstrated professional development and leadership, or any other qualities that I admire and would like to develop. I think that a mentor should be someone available to offer help and support. It should be someone who commits sufficient time to the mentee and a good listener. As well, an important element of the mentorship is empathy and to have a good understanding of your own strengths and development needs. And as well, I think the mentor should be someone that understands different perspectives and backgrounds of different mentees.
Great, thanks. What, Ari, would you like to add to that, or?
Yes, just to add to that, as both my friends just pointed out, the chemistry and the bilateral, kind of reciprocal relationship is the most important one. Based on my experience, when people are not empathetic or understanding or flexible enough, but different and each other's not just preferences, but also learning style, cognitive style. As a mentor, I think you have to be open to encounter people with different cognitive styles, even if you are studying the same field or you're practicing the same field. They have to be cognizant that not everyone learns the same and not everyone learns on the same speed, or so they have to practice that patience. And on top of the on behalf of the mentee, they also have to be open and flexible to get the information and not take it personally if it's not very pleasant, and to see that if it's actually conducive to their learning, to understand it, absorb it, think about it, and then hopefully apply it in their path to success.
Great, thanks. Then a follow-up to that can be, what should an undergrad or graduate student look for in a mentor? And what I'm thinking is, what should be the initial conversation? Do you discuss how frequently you meet, and how long does the relationship last?
I can go if you want. So I do have undergraduate and graduate student mentors, and I think the relationship would be, first of all, where do you want to be in 5 years or in 2 years or in 3 years? This is something, the discussion that comes up, and, where do you see yourself in the field? For graduate students, I think the ultimate thing that they can help, the mentors can help decide with them, is that, do they want to pursue graduate studies, or do they want to pursue a pathway to work? So those two are two different trajectories, and the action plan that the mentor and the mentee put together are very diverse, because if they're eyeing more academic, more scholarly endeavors, then perhaps how to undertake the developmental needs for a graduate study, what are some of the things that they could undertake, the tests that are required, some of the behavioral competencies that they need to have, how to mentally prepare for graduate schools, for writing, to not to expect that they're going to become very rich right after paying for 4 years of college because they're going back more to school, taking into consideration their financial constraints, and putting all of those into action plan. And I think what I utilize, and this is by no means the ideal thing or anything that it's a formula, but once a month for hour and a half, just uninterrupted, and action planned meeting that once we meet, we have a set of action plans to basically think through and so on, and then when we meet the next time, hopefully we can move from there. So that's on my part.
Thanks. Anna, do you have anything to add?
Yes, well, I don't have experience in mentoring grad or undergrad students, because I work with girls from the high school level. But firstly, I will say that the grad students may identify his or her own requirements for a good mentorship. It's important, such like if you greatly value the availability of the mentor, So I think it's good to look for such kind of person. Then I think that for a grad student, it is important to be mentored by someone that can provide feedback into your work and career, as well a mentor that provides information and knowledge and share informal networks, and someone that listens and is positive is very important for me.
Thanks. That was, I was gonna say that's good information for Courtney, who's a student herself right now. Now, another topic would be gender. What role, if any, does gender play in mentoring?
And I believe sometimes, especially for, university, graduate school mentorship programs, if like your, female students kind of relate better to female professors, not because of anything, it's just because they have been through what they're going through right now, and they do have to they have to overcome some obstacles that um, had been just faced by their mentors, and they can talk about how they navigated it, although things have improved and changed, but there's still some obstacles that remain to this day, such as stereotypes, especially when it comes to careers in STEM, and just overcoming that. You're still like, oh, good job, like you're in STEM, you still have it's not the norm. It's like, oh yeah, you're different, good job, and it may not just be even a negative information, but it's nonetheless, hey, you can do math, and I do get this all the time, even, but that said, I have had some students that have been mentored for some of the guys that work with me, and that has worked very well for them. Generally better if they're going into industry than academia. My personal experience, when they were mentored, my female students were mentored by female mentors for academia, that they were more successful.
Great.
Hope
Courtney,
that answer some of those.
Yeah, definitely. Courtney, do you have anything to add?
Not exactly. I mean, I've had both female advisors for my master's and my PhD, and I've had very different personalities between the two. But I've also noticed different personalities in the, say, the male professors, or who could be a mentor as well. And the only thing I will say very carefully is that a lot of the males seem to be a little more calm, a little more maybe not so reactive per se, whereas the women can be a little more eager to, I don't know, make changes or to help try to solve problems and things. But I feel like it's not necessarily a gender role or gender differences. I think it just depends on the personality of the individuals. And as Arezou was saying, that it is also that, from what I've learned from this organization, that there are still some bias towards against women in STEM. And so I think that it can be very helpful to have a woman as your mentor, that also, yes, understands some of the problems that you may face as a woman, at least in science, trying to move up the career ladder or do a PhD or other things like that too. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Anna?
Yes, well, I really don't feel that gender it's very important for the success of a mentorship relationship, but I find to me more enjoyable to be mentored by a female, because she also became my role model, and in my field it is important because there are very few women, so I feel more comfortable with that. There are some studies that say that the students mentored by men they have a better academic outcomes. I I really disagree with this kind of a study, because I think that when you share the same needs, the same life experiences, is that the relationship is stronger, is more trustful, and it empowers you in a very positive way. So yeah.
I think also it comes back to that point of chemistry. You know, there could be a female who's a potential mentor, but if the chemistry doesn't work well, that's male. So yeah, it's definitely, you know, a personal basis, not necessarily to look at the gender of the person. So next topic is can you mentor someone in a different discipline of science? For example, should you look for a mentor outside of your discipline? I've heard this as a biochemist. I've heard, for example, it might be good to have somebody in physics be your mentor, just to, you know, as a second mentor, to be a bit more objective and to kind of help you. So I was just curious what the panelists think about that. Anna?
Yes, well, I have been a mentor. I have mentor girls interested in another discipline of science, which is not my field of expertise. So that has opened new networking opportunities with women colleagues from other disciplines of science, because I invite them to talk with a girl about her career path and to give her career guidance. And my peers had the chance in taking part of this nice initiative. For instance, my former mentee wanted to study mechatronics, so I invited a friend that is a professor with that major. So she inspired Violeta to pursue that career and encouraged her to follow her dream. And my friend not only liked it, but also applied to be mentored this year. Well, that being said, I should not rule out the possibility to look for a mentor outside my discipline, because the mentor is not only a career-focused counselor, it may be someone that has the skills you want to develop and have a positive effect on achieving your goals. For example, let's say you want to improve your public speaking skills. So you may want to look for a mentor from communication studies. I personally have been mentored by a female that is a financial advisor, and I really enjoy her mentorship because of her excellent leadership skills.
Thanks, Ari. Did you want to add to that?
Yes, actually, Anna pointed out to a very important point. It depends on, you know, what you need to be mentored on. You know, if your mentorship, it's like conducting research in the very specific field that you're in, then, you know, going, for example, for a leadership thing, it's not, I don't think it will be that conducive. But if you want to build the soft skills that, you know, need to complement your academic skills for your presentation, even to present your thesis more confidently, you know, to be able to communicate your points more confidently, to be able to navigate the organization more confidently, then getting someone for as a leadership coach or as a career coach or as a speaking coach and mentor would be a lot more effective. So it very much depends on what you need to be mentored on.
Yeah, that's good thinking. Courtney, did you want to chime in or?
I mean, I think it's I think, as they say, it's useful to have somebody outside your discipline as well. As Arezou was saying, yeah, within the focus, you know, you need somebody more specific to your field of study or your topic or your thesis or whatever it might be. But even as a young career professional and PhD student, you know, having somebody outside my field of discipline still means that they have experience in life, experience in science, since it's still within the science field. And I feel that it can be useful, as you say, to develop soft skills or at least learn from them as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It can be beneficial, yeah. So I have one more question, and then we'll pop to some of the questions that people have been typing in the chat. So speaking of communicating, getting outside advice, how do you handle difficulties when in communication when, for example, when there's a disagreement of goals or when there can be a conflict of interest for a supervisor, you know, your supervisor is your mentor, and they can be like, you need to work through the weekend in order to get these samples finished. You know, how do you deal with those sorts of conflicts where you're not comfortable with the communication that's occurring?
I'll give you, I don't have a quintessential answer for that, but I'll give you my experience. Personally, when I was in graduate school, I always felt like I benefited more on, you know, some of these challenges that I was facing to have an outside of the committee mentor, because the relationship between mentor and mentee has to be a little bit more on a flexible side than the one that you're doing with your immediate advisor. Because, you know, it's more restricted with your advisor, and sometimes you're facing a challenge, you know, communicating with your advisor. So I felt that another mentor that could help me navigate my advisor actually was very useful for me to, you know, improve my relationship with the advisor, and at the same time kind of not encounter that conflict of interest. Because I figured early on from my master's that, you know, the conflict of interest does arise when this person is trying to tell you how to do it, because then the issue becomes they want to morph you into what they are. You know, they're like with little kind of little input from you, and then you don't feel like this is like a, you know, paired you know, an equitable relationship. You kind of become like a TA, you know, you just like take a role down because you're just at some point you're not mentored, you're being told what to do. So, you know, and I find this to be a challenge, but I'm just sharing this as my personal experience.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. That's what we need. Anna, did you want to add?
Yes, well, I handle the difficulties in communication by listening, by clarifying and both evaluating the situation and proposing alternative solutions to the difficulties or setting clear limits in the ultimate case. Well, I think that we may consider that the mentee's learning style is very important, as Ari already pointed out. The mentee's learning style that is important. It's important to um, to know the mentee's learning style in order to detect how and when to motivate or push the student, and because it may not suit the mentor natural way of learning, and that may lead to frustration. Also, I suggest an open mind and not judging, and never assume that what worked for you will work for your mentee.
Great, thanks. Now we can move on to some of the questions from the other members. So Robin asked, how can mentoring help when there have been obstacles that you've encountered? So have you gone to your mentors and have they helped, and how did that help you with the obstacle?
Well, I kind of responded that in chat. If you want, I can repeat it as well. We can't hear you, Susan.
I know, I just, I realized. Well then, Anna, do you want to add to that, or does anyone else want to add that hasn't?
Well, I think it's very important to listen from others, from people with more experience with how they tackle these obstacles. Because in the university, the approach with the professors is always academic, but with a mentor, it's different. You get to know each other in a more personal way. And I think it's very important to know from, as I already said, from an experienced person, how to deal with all these obstacles. For that point, I think it's not necessary, but I think it's very useful when you are mentored by a woman, because you will have more things in common in that sense, and it will excel on your career. I think this will avoid you going through several pitfalls along your career path, and to reach your goals in a better way.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah, I also see Judy asked the question about having an advisor committee member as a mentor, and I see Ari, you replied to that. But that also feeds into the question that Robin asked, how to meet mentors. And this, I think, would really be helpful for Courtney and other students. For example, inviting them to speak, for formal programs. Yeah.
Just if they can, especially professors, universities, schools, if they can arrange for more mentors that do this like on a professional basis or, on retainer basis or so on, come and speak to the class and, talk about what are their offerings and, to see, what is the level of reception or is that the needs of their students, so just provide platforms for students that have, selection and they could select based on what works for them and whatnot. So, have multiple programs come and present to them and, for students to choose which one is more time effective for them, which one is more suitable for their needs and which one matches their, what they're looking for.
I think, yes, the idea is, how to do the initial introduction. I remember when I was a student, the PhD student, we would invite people to the biochemistry department to give seminars because the department would pay for them to come to visit. So that would be a way that the students can go online and look for people, for professors or industry workers that are in their field and send them an email. And perhaps if their department, well, not right now, but even if their department is doing Zoom webinars instead of the in-person webinars, that would also be a way to do that.
Another thing we do at my, at Learn and Evolve, and this might be useful, we do group mentorship. Once a month we do similar to what we're doing now, and we get like students that are in similar stages of their careers, whether in academia or in industry, and they get to talk about some of the bigger challenges they have, and we pursue appreciative inquiry in addressing those, trying to see some of the mechanisms that have worked and see whether this is something that's applicable to other students. So not only they get to benefit from the one-on-one mentoring with the mentor, they also hear from their peers and and in like a formatted session where they could talk about a specific thing and then see whether they have faced similar things and whether that could be applied to help them in their action plan and solving their issues.
Yeah, it's funny. It's wonderful. You keep mentioning the term action plan because that's very critical because you can have good conversation, have good ideas, but you have to have the goals. Have it, at the time where you have the time and you have set goals and just be realistic about them and keep up with them. Did you want to add to that?
Yes,
Anna?
and I said.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, Ari.
The action plan thing, I think in the process of mentoring, other than exchange of information and kind of guiding, that's the most important part, because other than that, it's like a fireside chat, so it keeps the mentor on task, and it also keeps the mentee on task in terms of, I need to do certain things, and it helps them be a active partner and, kind of overcome their procrastination, some of the doubtful things they have that maybe it's not good enough. So at least there's always motion so that you're not stagnating, whether in your academic progression, whether in your work progression, you're always going because, you kind of have a deadline. Like, when you have to show up somewhere, you got to put clothes on and go. But if no one's waiting for you, well, you can't go tomorrow. So I feel like that's beneficial.
Yeah, no, that's great. Anna, did you want to say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, in my university, we don't have mentorship programs. We just have the tutoring, which is different. So if you want a mentor, you need to look for a mentor. It isn't provided by the university. But well, what I think it's important in the mentorship relationship also is to know the expectations of the mentee on the program, and let the mentee know what is expected from him or her. Set skills or goals that the students wants to achieve, and discuss and agree frequently on the length of the meetings, and discuss about the best way to contact one another. That is a very important thing. Let me share my experience. In my case, I worked for 6 months formally with the mentee within the Woman in STEM program. It is suggested in the guidelines of this program to work with the student for 1 hour every 2 weeks. However, in my experience, high school students benefit more from the program when we work for 1 hour once a week. Also, the girls need instant feedback sometimes, so I share my cell phone number to chat on WhatsApp, so they feel I am committed with them and available, but also I limit availability to specific windows of time. And the relationship with my mentees continues after the end of the program with occasional phone calls and contact through social networks. Even more, given the unfavorable economic situation of the girls, we are willing to support them with a special need. They have such a needing books or school supplies.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what was coming to mind with the action plans was SMART, the goals, the way to set, you have specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. Have the SMART goals. That's the best way to go about it. Did you want to add anything, Courtney?
I'm finding most of this very useful and helpful for the future to look for a mentor. So I'm more taking, I think, everything in more than providing so much, but
no, that's what we need. Yeah.
Yeah, and I find it very interesting because at first I was considering, my advisors, say for my master's or even my PhD now, like mentors. But as I'm learning more, even just from this meeting, I'm feeling like, no, they're not necessarily this, professional mentor relationship. They're the academic advisor. But I can have a mentor outside of this, outside of the university, or, external, that can also help guide me or provide advice as well. So I find that very helpful for the near future to also look for a mentor as well.
It can be very helpful, yes, because even during my PhD, I was in North Carolina and I invited somebody from Wisconsin, and we just hit it off, and she became kind of a sideline mentor, and we're still in touch. Her husband is British. So you just never know, you have to take advantage and be aware of the chemistry you have with people. I think that's very important because, you have to have a certain supervisor. And just sometimes if the chemistry isn't there, it's good to have other resources to go to. I was going to say, we should be winding down now. So if there aren't any other questions, because I went through what was in the chat and then also what we had planned, if perhaps the panelists want to say a final few words before I wrap up with the closing remarks for the meeting and talk about the next meeting.
Sure. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share this because, hopefully it's been of value to the members. And second, if anybody would like to invite us for a webinar, please just let me know and we will arrange it. Obviously for you guys, we can do always a flexible thing because I know you from here and you guys get dibs. So that's always good. And this is one of the other benefits of, when you mentor people, always advocate for professional memberships because that's their source of continuous learning too. And this is one of the reasons I'm here. So, I'm getting mentored by you guys on monthly basis and I love it, even on the WhatsApp forum. So if you guys need us to give a presentation, please don't hesitate. I would love for that to happen. And you guys are on top of the list. So thank you so much and see you guys next month.
Great. And I was going to say, I don't know if you put your website in the chat just for everyone to have the resource. I'm not sure if it's in there.
I didn't. I will actually, with the presentation, I will put all the social media and the website and everything in one place so people don't have to flip back and forth.
That's fine. Just because the chat goes into the minutes, the meeting minutes.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll put that too here. I
couldn't remember. Anna, did you want to finish up?
Yes. Well, I think we skipped an important point, an important benefit as well of the mentoring experience. I think that it's very important to that your professional resume include the mentoring as a core competency, because it implies leadership and communication skills. As well, I think that the mentorship benefits the department or the university by increasing the levels of motivation of the mentors, improves the communication at all levels and across levels, and it promotes sharing of knowledge and experiences in the work. Personally, mentorship was highly valued when I was hired in my university. I have included mentorship in my CV, and it has opened me new opportunities in my university to participate in activities related with women in STEM. So I think it's important to take this into account. And as well, I thank you, Susan, thank you all you GWIS members for your kind invitation in this talk. As well, I invited some GWIS members to talk with my mentees. So I challenged them to talk with in English, because they don't speak English, and they have some limitations on that sense, but it's very challenging for them and it's very encouraging for them. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks. And I'm just looking through. Yes, I missed that point on the bullet points that I had to talk about the CV, that it is important because we have these jobs that we're doing full time, but I mean, mentoring and these meetings can take up a big chunk of time. So it's important to have it on there so that people see all the experience that you have. Because even if you haven't been a formal teacher or lecturer, the mentoring, the one-on-one is such a deeper level to all that, and it's on the same guidelines. Courtney, we'll give you the final word on this as a panelist.
Thank you. No, I just want to say that I feel a mentor is a very beneficial thing to have as a young professional. I find this meeting to provide a lot of information for both sides, you know, as a potential mentee here, but also for everyone else that has more experience to be a potential mentor, because there's, you know, you have to have, how do you say, the experience and the understanding from both sides as well. So I find that both people can benefit from the relationship. And, you know, everything I've learned here today, I think can be applied in the future. So.
Yeah, hopefully that's the idea. Let's keep everyone on the good page and understanding how to navigate the career, because it can be so tricky. So just as a final point, I wanted to just share my screen about wrapping up here. So I hope that this has been a good conversation. Let me get this. There we go. Closing marks. Yeah, hopefully it sounds like this has been a good conversation. I'll type up the minutes. And as I said, this recording will go onto our YouTube channel. So if there's anything you missed, you can rewatch. And then for people who couldn't attend, we went through our final questions and our final points. And so for March, in 4 weeks from now, the suggested topic is grant writing. And obviously this being the international chapter, we'll talk about international grants. We can also talk about domestic, just any sort of concepts or problems or issues, or if you're wondering about opportunities that are out there, we'll talk about different funding. And as I mentioned earlier, let's not forget that we got 10 days for International Women's Day, which all of us are definitely a part of, and we'd love to see your pictures and hear about how the day is going for you. And for that, you can always email international@gwis.org, and I believe a few of you are on the WhatsApp chat. And I just wanted to thank everyone again for coming. And we're keeping up the monthly meetings, keeping up the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you all.